Sometimes travel doesn't go the way you plan, and not for the reasons you might expect.
We've been wanting to get to this country for over 20 years, and we finally get here, and we are really experiencing it from looking out the window. And it's not because the weather hasn't been cooperating either.
A long flight, a few rough days, and suddenly we weren't the ones calling the shots anymore.
Unfortunately, life is unpredictable, and if you don't give yourself a little bit of an extra window for when things go wrong, you can really be disappointed. We're going to share the things that nobody talks about, the less glamorous parts of living a life of full-time travel.
I'm Judy.
And I'm Kevin. Welcome back to Finding Gina Marie, where we share our lives as full-time travelers and the connections we make along the way.
We had an amazing time in Sarajevo, but we ended up cutting that trip short in order to pivot back to the US. And we had a whirlwind time there, only to find ourselves back in Europe just 6 days later. It was 2 flights that with probably a germ fest. It's October, and I think this is like bug season, and we both caught one.
I mean, none of this is life-threatening. we're not on death's door or anything like that. It's just that...
It sounds like it.
She sounds like it more than me. It's just that, normally when I get off of a plane, I feel sinusy. I feel a little bit achy. It's just one of those times. But we expect that to go away. We didn't expect to be here looking at this beautiful city going, hey, I don't feel quite so good.
All I wanted to do was sleep. And there's this big, beautiful city waiting for us that just kind of drew my breath away when we arrived.
Yeah, one of the most picturesque places we've ever been.
Yeah, so it really wasn't part of our plan for me to be lying in bed and drinking a lot of hot tea and having to stop at the pharmacist to pick up some medicine. And we've gone through 2 packs of big
tissues.
Boxes of tissues, coughing, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. We plan for contingencies, weather, stuff like that. We don't get sick much. So when this happens, it really throws things out of whack.
Especially since the first few days were supposed to be really lovely. Mm-hmm. And then the back half of our trip was rainy. So we knew that we wanted to go out right away and explore, sightsee, but it didn't really work out that way.
Yeah, we're following our rules. Do the sightseeing early, but when this one over here is coughing and has a fever, that's not happening.
We did buy a new thermometer when we were in the US. I'm glad we had it because my fever was actually fairly high.
Way too high.
And fortunately, we did check. There was an emergency clinic, but we just kind of felt like with rest and everything, it would get better. The win of it was that one of the oldest pharmacies in Europe is here in Croatia, or Dubrovnik. So we're glad that we got to check that out as well.
Woohoo! Second oldest pharmacy still in action. And we got to visit it just so we could buy medicine. That's how we plan our trips.
Yeah, people were actually in there buying all kind of
the
tinctures and creams.
Yeah, they have old-fashioned style creams they've been making since the 1600s. That's not why we're there. Cold medicine, ibuprofen. Give us the goods. She's coughing to death.
Now, we think it's always important to have your medical kit stocked with certain things because there is nothing worse than being somewhere where it's a Sunday and no pharmacies are open or, obviously, as I said, you could go to an emergency clinic most of the time, but it's so much better if you have things on hand. In fact, most every Airbnb and hotel has tea bags, but I carry my own. It's a brand I like, and it's just convenient to know that it's one fewer reason to not have to go out and get some sort of supplies.
Yeah.
So what practical things do we have in our first aid kit?
So our kit has obviously a new thermometer. It has ibuprofen usually. We try to stock up on that. It has antihistamine like Claritin that we use in case there's allergy stuff going on, Band-Aids, But we don't carry a lot of cold and flu stuff because, frankly, you can't carry everything, So we kind of, where we are, we try to look at what's the local solution for something like that. And actually, in some places, it's been pretty creative and pretty helpful.
Yeah, some places are actually better than what you could get in the U.S. The one thing that we have run into a few times is that some places don't actually have, like, they're more health-based solutions and
herbal.
They don't really always do what you want them to.
Take these two things. What's in them? Herbs.
Which
Give me something to knock me out.
Which I did do when we were very first traveling in Athens, and that was not that situation.
That wasn't the kick she wanted. So if we would only have given ourselves 4 or 5 days here, we would have really been in trouble, because a couple bad weather days and then 2 or 3 days of being sick, it's gone. That's all of our time.
As it is, we acknowledge that we're not going to be able to do everything that we want on this trip. But if we had no wiggle room, it would have really been terrible. And I do carry disposable masks so that we can get out if we need to for certain things. Right. But at the same time, there's some amount of sightseeing that I just don't want to expose people to my germs for.
Now, strangely enough, here I've seen so many people with coughs and colds. And on the tours we were with, there was multiple people blowing their nose. So I think there's just a bug this time of year going around. Yeah,
October is usually flu season. And we did not get a flu shot yet. But I know that there's a lot that is normally going on around this time of year, especially as the weather starts to get a little bit cold.
So the takeaway is more time and a space. If you really want to go to a place and enjoy it, give yourself enough room, because we luckily got some tour days in.
So one of the compromises that we've been making as I've been feeling better, and while I haven't had a fever for the last more than 24 hours, is that we did one activity. We walked the walls, and that was it for the day. I allowed myself to sleep. We picked up some orange juice, and like I said, I've been drinking lots of fluids to just rehydrate and replenish my body and protect my vocal cords a bit more, just trying to slow down and not feel like we have to do everything.
Yeah, pacing is so important. And listening to your body. You want to just fit everything in and do everything, but you have to be realistic. If we are going to get sicker and then we have to get on a plane again, that's not going to be fun. So,
and as it is, in 2 days, we are getting on a plane.
Right.
And we're going to Berlin. And we've never been to Germany.
And we don't have that much time in Berlin.
And we've got 10 days.
Yeah.
But I don't want to miss the time there and have this linger any longer than it needs to. So this is one of those occasions where I am really glad that we have a wool blanket that I can snuggle up with. And we have brought some cold weather clothes to just help us to make sure that we are dressed appropriately for the weather outside.
Yeah, on our quick trip back to the U.S., we did buy puffy jackets that are going to keep us a little bit warmer in Germany, because apparently the temperature is about 10 degrees cooler than here, which...
Although it has been cold here at times, and especially in the evenings, so we've been glad that we are carrying some warm weather stuff.
Yeah. Self-care is really important. I think that's the point. If your body's telling you need to rest, rest. If you need to make sure you have enough fluids in you, make sure that you're taking care of timing for things, that you're not overbooking things.
Right. And I feel like one of the things that people always tell us is, I'm not sure if I'm ever going to get back to that place. So I feel like I have to see and do as much of it as I can while I'm there. I guess I'll say that there is something to be said for just breathing in the quiet moments. And this is not the way I wanted our experience in Croatia to be. But at the same time, I feel like we are making our share of memories here. They may not be what you'd expect them to be.
They're not the picturesque memories I was expecting.
But they are all part of living a life of full-time travel. And I think sometimes nobody really talks about this. We don't really have like some brilliant, earth-shattering ideas to share with you about never getting sick. Like, you will still get sick.
Yeah, it happens.
And although there's so much of Dubrovnik that I really want to see, I just have to remind myself that the city is not going anywhere, and I'm going to be able to enjoy it a lot more when I can breathe. So some obvious tips. First of all, I'm going to be replacing my toothbrush after we get past this illness. And let's see.
I try not to share water bottles when we're like this. Now, staying away from each other is not possible. We're in a very small Airbnb. So that's one thing that you would normally do, kind of separate, keep your space. We don't have that option, but if you do have that option, that's a good tip.
Although Kevin has been sleeping facing the other side of the wall, and we really haven't tried not to
don't let out
cozy.
Secrets. Don't tell too much. It's not that kind of channel.
Make sure you're keeping your water bottle clean. I also carry hand sanitizer. And although we try to do a good job getting on planes, there's a lot of parts of planes that I didn't even think about having to worry about, not the least of which is the toilet flusher and every part of the bathroom, including the door handle. I think I read something about maybe 700 surfaces that you might be touching in an airport, an airplane. Definitely if they give you hand sanitizer,
alcohol wipes, to wipe off the trays and your armchair, everything around the plane. We did that on this flight. So, we were a little proactive.
Yeah, but I do think that there's probably more you can be doing. Sure. And also the same for cruise ships. I feel like those also are infested with germs because there's lots of people in a small amount of space.
Yeah, as much as you have fresh air and places to walk around, you're still in a lot of enclosed spaces with a lot of people. And you all leave the ship and come back to the ship at the same time. We've seen the crowds here. This is a big cruise ship town, and they just all come in together and all leave together, and so somebody's cold is going to get shared with everybody else.
Yeah, well, that's it. We were talking about how we're hearing people coughing and sneezing. Well, there's like 4,000 people who get off of cruise ships every day here in Dubrovnik. So those people are getting back on the ship. Yeah. And those are the same germs.
Thanks for sharing. So what are you looking to do different in 2026?
I had some really ambitious plans, and I think we're still going to be doing a lot of them.
By ambitious, she means a lot of things scheduled in short periods of time.
A lot of different countries. Not necessarily what I was planning to do in each of those places, but we were planning to move a bit fast next year. And while I think we're still going to do a lot of that, I am taking a step back and looking at our plans to say, okay, if there's weather issues and colds, am I going to have enough time in this place to see what I want to see and do? Yeah. And if not, we're planning to make adjustments so that we end up with, you can't plan for everything, but you can be smart about some of your choices.
Yeah, and we still have to be careful about money. There are some places you can't spend a month in.
I think I was spilling.
Great. Still not healthy.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I think I was a little ambitious.
Talking with her cup. As I was saying, there are some places that are just really expensive. So even if we want to buffer our time there, we can't spend 2 weeks or a month in a place. So some places you just have to take your chances. But when we can, we're going to try to extend our time in certain places and maybe not shift places as often, just so we can, so this situation doesn't happen again and we're left with a few bad weather days, some sick days, and a tiny window in between to go on walkabouts.
Yeah, exactly.
Sarajevo is one of the places that has surprised us most. It's been one of the most life-changing places for us. If you haven't seen that video, watch it here now.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and we wish you the very best of good health. Hopefully you will watch us next week where we'll bring you our Dubrovnik episode. So if you aren't already subscribed, we'd love for you to do that.
And remember to
wander more,
worry less,
and bring a passport.
and medications.
Until next time.